Distinguished delegates, please take your seats. Distinguished delegates, please take your seats. I would like to call this meeting to order, please. We will be resuming discussion on CBD/SBA/4/CRP.3. We will be taking up Annex, Draft Capacity Building and Development Action Plan for the Nagoya Protocol and Access to Genetic Resources and the fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising from their utilization. The first paragraph under the introduction 1A, in its decision 15/8 of 19 December 2022, friends, in this regard, I would like to request, can we adopt this annex as a whole, because as you all know better than me, the availability of time and the limitations which we have. So please think about it and respond accordingly. Thank you. Egypt, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's just one very minor issue that we'd like to add in the table itself. If you allow me to do that, I will go with your proposal. So in the table point 5.3, little point A, to add after bioinformatics, including generating sequence information on genetic resource and the establishment of national data banks. Because in our statement, we already highlighted the importance of DSI, and it's not reflected anywhere in that document. So with this proposal, we agree with your proposal to adopt the Annex as it is. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Egypt. Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. So on the annex, we do have some suggestions of amendment. Those are minor suggestions, but even though we would like to see them reflected. So under section B on guiding principles, we were wondering to what extent it would be wise to call them principles, given the phrase would be more of considerations rather than principles. And we would like suggesting paragraph 11.I on human rights, given that we still do not understand the interlinkages between capacity building and human rights-based approaches here. So it's suggested it in 11I. We had made a comment on action 5.3 and the little paragraph E to include a reference to joint development and transfer of technology, especially to support developing country parties. So from our perspective, little e would read as support the establishment of joint research and scientific cooperation and joint development and transfer of technology, especially to support developing countries. And then we would break this paragraph in two, and the reference to multilateral networking among public-private research institutions would be placed under a new item, which would read as EBIS. And then we could have support multilateral networking, and we could go along with the regional text that has been proposed in this CRP. And finally, we would request deleting under line 6.7 the new paragraph B, which refers to integration of bioethics. We understand that this topic will not belong to the mandate of the Nagoya Protocol, so it seems to expand too much on the mandate of the protocol. So we would suggest to delete the action that is being proposed in line 6.7, little paragraph B. Thank you.
Thank you, Brazil. European Union, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I first would like to confirm what Brazil just proposed, but we would like also to delete that 6.7b, but we would like to propose to move it to agenda item 6. So that is the first things. Then we've got some small textual changes, which I'm not going to enumerate all of them, but there's several pages. But we also realized that the reference to the theory of change has completely disappeared, which was in the earlier version of the annex. So we would like to propose to put it back, because we do not understand why it has disappeared. So that's one of the first things. Then we're also talking about free, prior and informed consent in two places. We would like to have a note, a footnote, which gives the three principles of FPIC. Then we also have some small changes, for example, like in 1.6 has increased. We do not know how you can measure that, so we would like to say just is enhanced, and then there's some other small changes. However, if we go to 3.2 small d, we didn't understand the text, which was new text, so we have some textual proposals to improve it so that we understand it. Or maybe the party who has added it can give us some more information about what they really mean. Then there was also the addition of the value change. We think it's probably badly placed on the place where it is now in 5.1a, and would probably propose to add it at the end of the small a. And then for 5.3e, we have also some changes, like, for example, adding in particular to developing
Go slow,
countries.
please.
Sorry?
Please go slow. I mean to say, please speak slowly so that we can catch up on the pages, what you're suggesting. Speak slowly.
Oh, slower. Okay, sorry. Okay, so I'll repeat. In 5.1, value change towards the end of the text and delete development. Then 5.3, we would like to change some text because we think it's not correct anymore. I'm not going to read it out completely, just to signal, so you can decide what you want to do with it. But at least in the end, it mentions 2 developing countries, and we would like to have at least in particular 2 developing countries. Then in box 5.5, small b, we're talking about sustainable bioeconomy. According to us, it should be and circular bioeconomy, so it should read sustainable and circular bioeconomy. And in the small c, in the development of biodiversity-based products, it should be, we would like to propose sustainable biodiversity-based products. And those are the main points that we would like to introduce. Thank you.
Thank you, European Union. United Kingdom, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do have several small suggestions to make to the annex. And I did find it quite hard to keep up with all the suggestions that were previously made. I'm not sure if you could clarify how we will go through those changes. A couple that I can comment on now, though, in relation to section 6.7 on referring to bioethics, we can support either deleting that paragraph or moving it as suggested by the European Union. Also support Brazil on the deletion of paragraph I on guiding principles. We can also be happy with the removal of that. We do also have a couple of other suggestions. So on 3.2, we'd like to reintroduce, I should say, paragraph little d on the training and guidance on monitoring benefit sharing. We felt that was missing from the CRP. And then on 5.3, paragraph C.
Please speak slowly so that we can capture, please. Sorry for intervention. Please speak slowly so that we can capture what you're saying.
Yes, Chair, sorry about that.
You have the floor.
My final suggestion is on 5.3 in paragraph C, adding a reference to on mutually agreed terms in relation to technology transfer. And we have a few other maybe minor edits, but those would be the main points. Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair.
Thank you, UK. Switzerland, you have the floor. If you are making any suggestions, please speak slowly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Switzerland was prepared to follow your advice and adopt the annex as such. Now, first party made some textual addition, and then, of course, all the other parties have also the right to come with their text, and we will have now a lengthy debate. I have to reflect on or react on Egypt's proposal for Switzerland. I know that there are different understandings, but for Switzerland, the Nagoya Protocol is not about DSI. That's why also the DSI discussion is not under the Nagoya Protocol, and therefore I cannot accept that this added text by Egypt, this would have to be bracketed. Thank you.
Argentina, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for giving me the floor. We agree with what Brazil has said in the sections where we refer to principles. It would be better to refer to considerations, and therefore we would like to see that modification made. Furthermore, we do not agree with the need to reintroduce the paragraph relating to value change. And in the annex, as we see it in our version, we think it is a plan of action that is much more concise and therefore more useful for the audience to whom it's destined. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Argentina. Kotiva, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Before I make my comments, I would like to simply state that I support the issue raised by Argentina. My observations relate to point D2. In the version in French, and I'm not sure if it's the case in English, they said support for the elaboration of national plans to achieve Target 3. And I ask myself, is that correct? Because that's not target, that is not Objective 3, it's Target 3. And I thought it should be targets and national targets and objectives. Thank you so much. That's why I asked for the floor.
Thank you, Kotiva. Philippines, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Philippines suggested the inclusion of the development of its value chain under Output 5.1, Outcome Area 5, Output 5.1, because we believe this would provide for us grasping fully the potential for the development of endogenous research and development capacity. The entire value chain of a genetic resource should be assessed so that a clear value chain development plan is developed at the outset, which will then be carried out in subsequent outputs in this outcome area. So I guess this is in response to the suggestion and the query raised by the European Union and Argentina. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Philippines. Indonesia, you have the floor.
Hello, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Indonesia would like to support Brazil and Argentina on the issue of the heading of Annex Section 2, Subsection B. We rather not to use principles because this is very high, and we are still actually considering the content. So perhaps consideration is a good idea. And we also would like to delete 11I, because I think it makes the issue too complicated, and we rather not have it. And we also would like, if possible, if the Secretariat could remind us again on some points made by you, because there were many, and it would be very useful if someone could repeat it again so we could consider it. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Indonesia. Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. So sorry for taking the floor again, and just a quick reaction to some of the comments made. So in 5.1, as just mentioned by the distinguished delegate from the Philippines, we would prefer to retain the reference to development of their value chains, as it conveys a more positive tone on the important role of genetic resources for innovation. With regards to the amendment proposed by the EU on 5.5, little b, on bioeconomy, well, from our perspective, we would prefer to retain sustainable bioeconomy. We would flag that sustainable bioeconomy is a terminology used by FAO, including the Committee on Forestry. And this terminology has also been agreed upon under the UN Forum on Forest, including the Omnibus Resolution approved by this forum and a high-level political declaration, both of which were approved just a couple of weeks ago. And they use the terminology sustainable forest-based bioeconomy approaches. I understand that, of course, forest-based will not fit in here, given that this plan does not address forest issues. But perhaps the way forward would be to use sustainable bioeconomy approaches. And I think this would be more consistent with previously agreed language in other fora. And Brazil, at this point in time, would not be in a position to accept the circular. So we would suggest sticking to previously agreed language in other fora on bioeconomy. So we could either go with the original language as proposed, a sustainable bioeconomy, or use sustainable bioeconomy approaches. Thank you.
Thank you, Brazil. Norway, you have the floor. Norway, you have the floor, please. Okay. Thank you.
There we go. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Chair.
thank you.
So I would like to keep 11I on human rights-based approaches to be consistent with the GBF. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Norway. European Union, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. We would like to propose to bracket for now the reply we just have had from Brazil, because within the convention it hasn't been defined yet what is sustainable bioeconomy. So we would like to bracket it and also bracket our additional text that we proposed up there. Then with regards to 5.1, our proposal was not to take out completely the value chains, because we do not think that the place where I mentioned is the right place. So to reply to our colleague from the Philippines, I think it was, but we wanted to have it at the end within value chain. And well, we can continue if you want, but I think maybe we should try to find a solution to some of the things. So I'm in your hands. Thank you.
Thank you very much, European Union. Zimbabwe, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I actually wanted to support the intervention made by Egypt, and if we cannot agree on it, can we please have it in brackets? And I disagree with the idea that digital sequence information is not a part of the Nagoya Protocol, because that is, it's genetic resources, and it's the use and the utilization of genetic resources. So it is quite fitting to have it here.
Thank you, Zimbabwe. Argentina, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. At this time, I'm just requesting the floor to ask for some clarification on how we'll move forward with the proposed text changes. There have been many proposed in a very quick manner. At least myself, I have not been able to capture them all in order to consider them. So just for a clarification on how we will move forward. Thank you.
Friends, now we are closing the discussions on this discussions on this annex, please, and we'll clarify the things. Friends, we took up the whole annex in one go, and thanks for the parties for their views and opinions expressed. Philippines, Egypt, UK, Switzerland, Brazil, EU, Argentina, Cote d'Ivoire, Indonesia, Norway, Zimbabwe have given their comments. There are certain differences which are taken note of by the Secretariat, and that those will be put in brackets. Where there are no disagreements, they will be incorporated, and that will be reflected in the L document, please. If it is agreeable, we will proceed to next this thing. Thank you. This is the only way we can move forward. Otherwise, it will be very, very difficult. Most of the things are if not convergence, they have not differed. Please, you might have heard the other parties. There are only few differences, which will be bracketed. And most of the things were expressed which were not opposed by or disagreed by others. So they will be taken note of. So this type of cooperation, it will help us to move fast forward, please. Kindly cooperate with us. Argentina, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, for this explanation. But actually, what I mentioned earlier is that we were not able to actually capture all the changes, so we couldn't react to them. So maybe it would be better to, at this time, keep everything in brackets, only the new additions. So if there were new additions, to keep those in brackets, because we might not have been able to react to something at this time.
Keeping in view the difficulties ahead, we are agreeing with that.
Thank you.
And we'll keep everything in brackets because there is no time for us to further to discuss on these things. But I still request you, if you can agree, that wherever there are no differences, those can be incorporated and move forward. But I'm giving the floor to you on this point, please. Argentina, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. If by that you mean the parts of the text that have not been commented on at all, then yes.
We will then put in the brackets and move forward, please. Okay. We are agreeing to your earlier.
So I mean the rest, only the new additions would be in brackets. The rest of the text is okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Agreed, please. European Union, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, we also had some textual changes, but we, of course, we couldn't read them out. That would take too much time. So would it be possible also to hand in to the Secretariat the changes that we proposed? Because the textual changes, I didn't give them correctly. So I'm wondering what will happen to them, because I just mentioned the paragraphs or the boxes. So, but we're in your hands and we listen to your advice. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please. Egypt, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to make sure that all the intervention will be bracketed because we have not followed all of them. So, thank you.
Yes, please. That is the only way forward now, please. So, Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. So just one clarification building on the comment just made by the European Union. Are we supposed to send any textual change? At least from our perspective, the only proposals that should be included, whether in brackets or not, building on the discussions we've just had, are the ones that have been expressed here during plenary. Otherwise, if there's any other proposal that countries would like to make, my understanding is that they would need to read this out loud here in plenary. I don't think at this stage we would, I mean, it would be wise to suggest countries to send additional comments in writing. So it is not clear to me whether some countries will be sending additional comments in writing or not.
European Union, I request you please reconsider, but if the textual changes which you want to propose are, I mean, how many, and it will take long time for us to debate on that. Others also will again interfere, like, everybody has a right here and we have to come to a consensus, please. Already whatever has been mentioned is bracketed, so kindly try to understand the situation and let us move forward, please. You have the floor, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. It was mainly, I asked a question about 3.2, small d, because we didn't understand it. And I asked the party who submitted it if they could explain it. We didn't get any reply on that. And we don't understand it the way it's written at this moment, we would have some textual changes up there, which I didn't give because we want some explanation. But if you want, I can read it, the textual change that we would like to propose, because I think that is probably the only one, together with 5.3, where I didn't read out the full changes in the text, and that's all. But if you want, I can read them out now, and then you can put them in brackets. That's also possible. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
European Union, only 5.3, please, you go ahead. And beyond that, please refrain from making further this thing.
Which one did he say? Sorry, can you repeat which numbers I can read out?
3.2D.
Okay, for 5.3C, okay, it would read as follows: promote and encourage, comma, as appropriate, comma, access to and transfer of technology, in particular to developing country parties. And then 3.2D which we didn't understand, then we would like that it would read as support the development of tools to monitor access and benefit sharing agreements, and then it continue as it was. Because we didn't understand the mechanism needed to facilitate, we didn't understand that, but we didn't get any explanation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, European Union. United Kingdom, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There was one suggestion which I touched on when I spoke previously, but I didn't give any details of, so I would like to just be a little bit clearer on that now. And in fact, it builds on 3.2 that my colleague from the EU was just discussing. I have no issue with what he proposed, but we would like to bring back the original little d as well, which reads, provide guidance, training or technical assistance on how to monitor monetary and non-monetary benefits. We would like to reintroduce that paragraph, but then to avoid the duplication with the new D of the CRP, we would delete after benefit sharing agreements, we would delete and benefits shared. And then that bit would be taken up by the original little d paragraph. So it would be separating those out. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, UK. Gabon, you have the floor, please.
Merci, Monsieur.
Thank you, Chair. Now on 5.3c, I believe the European Union proposed an addition. It's hard for me to understand the terminology which has already been agreed upon, which we're now coming back to change. The European Union has proposed an addition, but we propose that this paragraph 5.3c be placed between brackets. Thank you, Chair.
Friends, we are keeping all the additions in brackets only. Zimbabwe, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do agree with part of European Union's intervention, but as long as we keep the part that says information systems to monitor access, and then continue with the statement. So if that part can not be deleted, and then I would agree with the tools part and removing the mechanisms needed, what.
Friends, this is adopted with all the brackets that have been mentioned. The Secretariat has captured all the points, and we are concluding this discussion on this, please. Thank you. Japan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Regarding the paragraph 9b, Japanese delegation received a detailed explanation by the Secretariat, and we consulted the Tokyo headquarters based on the explanation as well as the information contained in the IAG report. And we'd like to propose to lift the brackets around the paragraph. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Japan. We captured it. all the changes suggested are kept in brackets. And this concludes our discussion on this annex. Now, can we all agree on this approach and move forward? If there is no request for the floor, therefore, we have now reached the conclusion of our discussions on CRP.3, please. I will produce an L document for this item for consideration later. Thank you very much for your cooperation and understanding. Thank you. Distinguished delegates, let us now turn to agenda item 5A on capacity building and development, technical and scientific cooperation, clearinghouse mechanism and knowledge management. Matters of this item related to technical and scientific cooperation have been addressed in a contact group. However, with the help of Secretariat, I have prepared CRP.4 on the clearinghouse mechanism and knowledge management. CRP.4 was prepared drawing on the interventions from 35 parties, 7 observers, during our plenary session on 22nd and 23rd May 2024. Here, I would like to give the floor to Secretariat first, please. Secretariat, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. The question actually came up in under the previous item concerning the sub-regional, the regional and/or sub-regional technical and scientific cooperation support centres, and the stage at which we could lift the brackets around reference to these in various documents. So I am pleased to announce that this morning the Bureau of the Conference of the Parties finalised the selection of the entities that will constitute the regional and/or sub-regional technical cooperation centres, pursuant to the mandate that was given to it by the Conference of the Parties in its decision 15/8. So the entities and organisations selected to host the sub-regional support centres, and I'll read them out, are as follows. So in Africa, the Central African Forest Commission, COMIFAC. Secondly, the Ecological Monitoring Centre, CSE. Thirdly, the Regional Centre for Mapping of Resources for Development, RCMRD. Fourthly, the Sahara and Sahel Observatory, OSS. And fifthly, the South African National Biodiversity Institute, SAMBI. In the Americas, firstly, the Alexander von Humboldt Biological Resources Research Institute. Secondly, the Secretariat of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM. Thirdly, the Central American Commission on Environment and Development, CCAD. In Asia and the Pacific, the ASEAN Center for Biodiversity, ACB. The IUCN Asia Regional Office, the IUCN Regional Office for West Asia, ROA. Fourthly, Nanjing Institute of Environmental Sciences. And fifthly, the Regional Environmental Center for Central Asia. Now, I mentioned this, the Pacific in that role, but in fact, we've addressed that in the geographic region of Oceania, and so for the Pacific Islands, small island developing states, etc., that is the Secretariat of the Pacific Regional Environment Program, SPREP. And then finally for Europe, firstly, the Joint Research Centre of the European Commission. Secondly, IUCN Centre for Mediterranean Cooperation. Thirdly, IUCN Regional Office for Eastern Europe and Central Asia. And fourthly, the Royal Belgian Institute for Natural Sciences. And that completes the list. So the Bureau noted that in due course, the Secretariat will be in touch with the parties through their NFPs to confirm with them which of the selected centres they would like to work with, and would also follow up with parties who are not associated with those aforenoted centres to determine options to enable their engagement in this very important global network of regional and sub-regional support centres. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Secretariat. Friends, we will be now moving on to the CRP.4, Clearinghouse Mechanism and Knowledge Management. The first para, A, the subsidiary body and implementation, recommends at the 16th meeting, the Conference of the Parties adopt edition along the following lines. A, clearinghouse mechanism. The first para, starting with the words recalling decisions. Can we all agree on this para, please? Please show the same spirit which you have shown during the previous CRP.3 so that we can move on very fast, please. Thank you. There are no requests for the floor. This para starting with the recalling decisions is approved, adopted, please. Second, para preambular, emphasizing the critical importance. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? There are no requests for the floor, approved. Third preambular paragraph, recognizing the importance of the clearinghouse mechanism. Can we all agree on this paragraph? Argentina, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. We don't have major issues with this paragraph. We would just like to request until we go through Annex 2 to place brackets in the second line that say, as contained in Annex 2, that we will be able to lift once we go through Annex 2. Thank you.
Okay, Argentina. We will now move on with the suggestion made by the Argentina. This preambular part is agreed with the brackets. Next preambular, we are entering into paragraphs now, recognizing also that the clearinghouse mechanism should be compatible with and supportive of relevant national and international regulations regarding the data sharing and data sovereignty. Can we, European Union, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And we can agree on the big part of the sentence. It's only, and data sovereignty, it can change so much between already, if we look at it from the Nagoya Protocol to other protocols or even national things. So we would like to propose to delete the wording and data sovereignty because it's not clear and it changes so much. So we would like to propose to delete it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, European Union. Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We believe that this is a very important paragraph, given the subject matter we're dealing with. We would like to retain it with just a slight modification, and that is in the part that reads national and international regulations. We would suggest to modify into national legislation and international obligations. Thank you.
Thank you, Brazil. Egypt, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's just one additional para that we'd like to add, and we highlighted in our regional statement. It reads as follows: acknowledging with appreciation the outcomes of the UNEP-GEF Global Biosafety Clearinghouse Project Phase 3.
Egypt, repeat it a little bit slowly, please. We have to capture it.
Acknowledging with appreciation the outcomes of the UNEP-GEF Global Biosafety Clearinghouse Project Phase 3.
Kotiva.
Merci.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Côte d'Ivoire would like to maintain this subpara as it currently stands, keeping and data sovereignty so we can take account of it in our national legislation. Thank you.
Gabon, you have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. But as Côte d'Ivoire has just said, we also would like to retain the words and data sovereignty.
India, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair.
India also likes to retain data sovereignty as well as national legislations that we can mention as Brazil and other parties said. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, India. Burkina Faso.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. In the same line as others, we would like to make sure that data sovereignty is retained because this has an effect on our legislation and on property, on our legislation.
Thank you. Burkina Faso. Central African Republic, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. The Central African Republic would also like to support the statement made by Gabon, Burkina Faso, and others with regard to data sovereignty. Thank you.
Equatorial Guinea, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We also support the words data sovereignty being retained in accordance with our national policies.
Secretary to please read out the para so that parties are very clear about what has been added and bracketed.
Thank you, Chair. The paragraph would read, recognizing also that the clearinghouse mechanism should be compatible with and supportive of relevant national legislation and international obligations regarding data sharing and in square brackets and data sovereignty. Thank you.
European Union, you have the floor, please. That has been kept under brackets, please. No. Yeah, anyhow, you have the floor, please. Please be crisp in your comment.
Yeah, thank you. We didn't understand that national legislations and international obligations was bracketed. What we understood that legislation was a new addition, and then international wasn't contested, and then there was a proposal to replace regulation by obligation. So normally regulations, we would like to retain it, so that should be bracketed, and obligations as well. And that's not what we heard from the Secretariat. Is that correct? Thank you.
May I request the Secretary to please clarify so that we can move forward, please, what European Union raised.
So, with the, so it would read, recognizing also that the clearinghouse mechanism should be compatible with and supportive of relevant national legislation and international obligations. This is in square brackets now, according to EU, regarding data sharing and data sovereignty.
European Union, yeah, please.
Yeah, thank you. I think they bracket too much. Like I mentioned before, So please bracket a little bit less. You only have to bracket obligations and you have to bracket regulations. And then at the end, we're okay to bracket and data sovereignty because there was a clear distinction. So please, Secretariat, if you understood what you should bracket now, thank you.
European Union, when there is no consensus, bracketing is the only option before the chair. And I'm not doing anything different from other chairs who have done this job. Thank you. Argentina, you have the floor.
Mr. Chair, just to agree with the EU, I think that you got it right. We need to bracket some things in this paragraph to be able to move forward, but they are very few. And it's only the word regulations, the word obligations, and at the end, the 3 words and data sovereignty. Those are the only ones that should remain in brackets. The rest, you have it approved. So congratulations.
Thank you for congratulating me on a small job done. Now we move on to para 1. This is drafted with those brackets, this paragraph. Parties, can we all agree on this paragraph? And if there are no objections, we are moving forward, please. Thank you. This paragraph is approved with the brackets as stated. Argentina, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I recall that Egypt had made a proposal regarding a new preamble paragraph. Could you confirm the status of that proposal? And if it could be read out because we couldn't keep it, get it correctly. Maybe also as it is new text and we probably will have to check on it, we would suggest to keep it in brackets till we have confirmation on the content and substance. Thank you.
Secretary, to please spell out.
So Egypt's addition was acknowledging with appreciation the outcomes of the UNEP GF Global BCH Project Phase 3. Thank you.
Egypt, you have the floor, please.
Yeah, it's just to highlight, Mr. Chair, that this one and another proposal was in the Regional Africa Statement, and we also raised that issue in the contact group so that this is not a new language, but it has been raised on the floor, submitted to the Secretariat, and the issue was raised in the contact group, and still it was not included in the CRP. Thank you.
Any objections to this inclusion proposed by Egypt, please? European Union, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you. No, we're just wondering why we're talking up here about the BCH. We know that it's under the clearinghouse mechanism, that the protocol has a biosafety clearinghouse, but we would probably prefer to keep it and put it under the protocols when we come to the COP MOP, and we put it up there. But we like to keep it bracket for now so that we can have a better look at it. Thank you.
Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. This is just to agree with the EU. We suggest to keep this between brackets for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are taking more time on this. Please help me in moving forward. Egypt, you have the floor.
Yeah, it's just, Mr. Chair, to clarify on this, because our proposal included another para on a specific project that would give capacity building to the CBD clearing houses, including its protocol. And we have very specific language that has been submitted, that has been said in the plenary and submitted to the Secretariat. That's why we think we should keep that reference to the project, because we will build on it in our next intervention. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
included and bracketed, please. Can we all agree on this and with brackets and move forward, please? Thank you. This paragraph with brackets is approved. Next, para 1 welcomes or adopts the program of work for the clearinghouse mechanism for the period 2024-2030 contained in Annex 1 to the presentation. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? Thank you. This paragraph 1 is approved. Para 2 invites parties other governments. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? Thank you. Argentina, please. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we are not sure of the level of operationalization at this stage of the Global Knowledge Support Service. So we would suggest to delete it from the text and have the regional and sub-regional technical and scientific cooperation support centers that we've applauded even at the beginning of this session. Thank you very much.
Any objections to the proposal made by Argentina, please? European Union, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. We would like to retrain the reference to the Global Knowledge Support Service for Biodiversity, so if you could put it in between brackets, it would work for us. And we'll ask that support center to give more information to the parties during COP16 or before COP16. Thank you.
We are keeping it in brackets and moving forward, please. This is approved with the brackets. Para 3 starts with encourages parties. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? Saudi Arabia, you have the floor, please.
Mr. Chair, our delegation thinks that it's important.
بعد عبارة وضمان استدامتها وهي مع الأخذ بعين الاعتبار التشريعات الوطنية وأهمية وجود برامج بناء القدرات في هذا المجال تستهدف جميع الدول الأطراف في الاتفاقية وبروتوكولها. شكرا سيد الرئيس.
It's important to have development.
Saudi Arabia.
Our delegation thinks that it is important to add the following sentence in the Arabic version of paragraph 3. After sustainability, we say that we should take into consideration national legislations and the necessity to devise capacity building programs that target all states parties and the states parties to the protocols and to the convention. Thank you.
Saudi Arabia, any objection to this, please? If there are no objections, United Kingdom, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies, that wasn't entirely clear on our end what exactly the insertion was. If the delegate from Saudi Arabia could repeat that, or if we could have that just placed in brackets, and we will deliberate until COP. Thank you.
Secretariat, you have the floor. Please spell out.
So this would be added to the last part of the paragraph that we currently have here. Encourages parties to continue to take the necessary steps to establish or strengthen national clearinghouse mechanisms and to ensure their sustainability, taking into account taking into account the national legislations necessary to devise capacity building programs that target all parties of the convention and the protocols. Thank you.
I think it is clear to the UK, and we'll move forward. Please, are there any objections to this, please? European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you. We would like to keep it in brackets for now. Thank you, because it's a long text. And
Thank you. We are moving forward by keeping this in brackets. Para 3, approved. We are on para 4, that starts with invites parties. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? European Union, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. We can agree with paragraph 4, but in our statement we had mentioned that we had an additional 3 bis which wasn't taken up, and it was reading as follows: encourages parties to nominate a or to update information of their, where applicable, clearinghouse mechanism.
Slowly, please. He has to capture it. Please.
I'll try to be more slow. Thank you. Encourages parties to nominate a, or to update information of their, where applicable, clearinghouse mechanism, national focal point, and to communicate the details of the national focal point to the Secretariat. The reasoning behind this, we've had several CHM capacity building workshops, and we had really problems to get in contact with the national focal points. So we think it's very important that the website of the convention is updated and corrected so we can contact the national focal points. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, European Union. Antigua and Barbuda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm reacting to paragraph 4.
Yes,
after developing country parties, I'd like to see language that that says, in particular, small island developing states, least developed countries, and the rest of the sentence continues with parties with economies in transition. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Antigua, Barbuda. Saudi Arabia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In paragraph 4 in the Arabic version, I would like to add the following. When applicable, to add technical, financial, and human resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Saudi Arabia. Argentina, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. We have a small change suggestion to the beginning of paragraph 4, which in our view should read at the beginning, urges developed country. We would delete invites, and then after parties, we would write and invites. So the first line would read, urges developed country parties and invites other governments and relevant organizations in a position to do so. Was that captured?
Friends, many parties are coming on line to this. We are taking more time. Please try to be considerate and try to push the things. In Trinidad and Tobago, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanting to endorse Argentina's intervention, as well as my colleague from Antigua and Barbuda. And if it's agreeable to plenary and for expediency's sake, if we could automatically include a standard language, SIDS and LDCs, whenever we have that phrasing for developing countries and parties with economies in transition. Thank you.
Thank you, Trinidad and Tobago. Gavin, you have the floor, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We would like to support the proposal made by the European Union, but in that case, we would need to have 2 paragraphs. We would therefore have to divide paragraph 4 into, because these are 2 different ideas contained within the same paragraph. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Quite briefly, perhaps for the moment, I'd like to see that suggestion made by the EU between brackets, because I believe that's already encapsulated in the program of work that we are approving for the clearinghouse mechanism, and also to support Argentina's suggestion. Thank you.
European Union, you have the floor, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. We would like to oppose the addition by Argentina of developed country parties in the beginning, because exactly we're talking about national CHMs. So also the parties themselves should support that. So we should not single out developed country parties to assist. All parties should assist their own national CHM. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, EU. European Union, please repeat what you have mentioned.
Yeah, thank you. Well, what we understood from Argentina's intervention was that they had proposed to add in the beginning, invites developed country parties, and invites, and then it continues. But we do not agree with that one, because all parties, if we talk about national CHMs, all parties should do this, and not just developed country parties. Because especially for the sustainability of the CHMs, it's not just from external funding, it should also be from national. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
There are two parties online, Cuba and Argentina, and I will not take any more on this paragraph, and will now I give floor to Cuba, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Cuba would like to support the proposal made by Argentina and by Antigua Barbuda. And it's clear that the efforts being made by developing countries with regard to our clearinghouse mechanism and in terms of the implementation requires support from the developed country parties, and the developed country parties therefore have a fundamental role to play in this. Thank you.
Indonesia, you have the floor. Indonesia.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Indonesia would like also to support Argentina and other colleagues on this paragraph, because this is something that is, I think, is always the language in this kind of paragraph. Usually, it's developed countries plus other probably non-developed countries which are in the position to do so. This is not something new, so we would like to support this proposal. Thank you.
Last, I would like to take Argentina. You have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and we're sorry that we're not able to find at this stage a compromise language here. So I think that probably at COP we're going to have a standard way to refer to these across all decisions. We could suggest to bracket the whole para 4 at this stage and the whole new para proposed by the EU, and we can move forward. Thank you.
Yeah, paragraph 4 bracketed, and we will move forward, please. See, once two parties and one or two parties take a position, others, that doesn't make any difference if other parties come in and support either of the parties. So therefore, the bracketing anyhow has come, so that should satisfy the parties, please. So I request not to take the floor, and we have a very difficult facing to cover up the entire agenda today. Thank you for your cooperation. We are now moving with paragraphs. Entire paragraph 4 has been bracketed and moving approved, and then moving to 5th paragraph. Starts with encourages parties. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? Argentina, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Following the same rationale we provided before, we would suggest to delete the reference to, sorry, in this case it's different, the rationale. But in this case, we think that we'd rather have a broader reference and not the specificity of the Global Biodiversity Information Facility that we would like to request deletion here. Thank you.
Any objection to the European Union? You have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it was GBIF who proposed this paragraph, and we would like to retrain the mention of GBIF because they do a lot of work for data sharing and on bioinformation. So we would like to retain it as one of the examples. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Peru, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Well, unfortunately, we can't agree with Argentina's proposal because this is a platform which has, I think from 2001 up to present, the databases of many countries, and we think it's essential and relevant to have it mentioned. Thank you.
Gautamela, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. In line with what we've said before, we think the mention of Global Biodiversity Information Facility to be highly important in efforts for the implementation of the Global Biodiversity Framework at the national, regional and international level. and therefore we would want to retain it in the text. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gautam Miller. Mexico, you have the floor.
Gracias.
Thank you, Chair. Mexico also would like to retain the mention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mexico. I'm going back to Argentina. Please, would you please reconsider your stand, having heard other parties, please?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Unfortunately, Argentina cannot be flexible in this case, so we suggest to keep it in brackets. Thank you.
So no more discussions on this para 5, please, and we are moving with the bracketing on this issue and this specific global biodiversity information facility. We are after bracketing in the para 5, we are moving and after approving it, we are moving to para 6. It is already in brackets. Can we agree on this paragraph as it is, please? European Union, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we can, for us, we can even lift the brackets, but there's a typo, we think, because small islands developing started in English version. It's a bit strange, so we suppose that it should be small island developing states among them. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We are moving forward with this suggestion. Para 6, approved, please, brackets lifted. Friends, para 7 starts with the word invites the regional and sub-regional support centers. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? Brazil, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Here, we'd like to delete the reference, starting with, and the Global Knowledge Support Service for the Biodiversity. Even though we acknowledge that it has been created and has been useful for some countries, we believe that here we're referring to other centers that are of a global nature, or that we're going to, in their whole and their unity, support have a global service. So we think it would be inappropriate to have it here. And for the sake of efficiency of our work here, we're also going to be raising that same issue on paragraphs 10F, as well as 8 and 9B of the knowledge management. Thank you.
Argentina, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. We would support Brazil, and in addition to the paragraphs identified by Brazil, we would be raising this as well in paragraph 10A. Thank you.
European Union, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And as before, we would like to keep it in brackets. So we would like to ask you, wherever it's mentioned, just keep it in brackets instead of just deleting it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Since there is no consensus, we are moving with keeping the brackets. Approved with brackets, please, this one. 7th one. Now we are on para 8, please. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? Thank you. There are no requests for the floor. Para 8 approved. Para 9 starts with invites parties. Can we agree on this paragraph, please? Thank you. No request, please. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's not on 9, but it's on 9 bis. A new text proposal, and it reads as follow. Request UNEP.
Slowly, please.
Okay. Request UNEP to elaborate on a global capacity building project on using the clearing houses of the CBD and its protocol comma, assist party to establish national node for clearing houses using Bioland tool, comma, and enhance the exchange of information and cooperation among parties to fulfill their information sharing obligation, and invite the Global Environmental Facility to provide support for this project. This is from our regional statement on the floor. Thank you.
Please. Argentina, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And we are sympathetic with the point that Egypt raised before, that they had submitted this in their submission. Unfortunately, as this was not included in the CRP, we were not able to review it beforehand. In a view, probably we would have some suggestions, for example, when it refers to information sharing obligations, that we're not sure what it refers to. So happy to consider it maybe at a later stage, but at this point, if possible, let's keep it in brackets so we can formulate our position in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Argentina. Are there any objections to Egypt and Argentina's proposals, please? Thank you. No request from the floor. We'll proceed with the suggestions made by Egypt and Argentina. Thank you. Now, the para 9 is approved with that proposals, and then we'll moving on to 10. The 10th one has A, B, C, D, E, and F. So, A, please. Can we agree? Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? Trinidad and Tobago, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Just to make it a little consistent with Para B, which suggests a minor rewording of A so that it reads, to facilitate the implementation of the program. Thank you, Chair.
European Union, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. We just want to move a little bit, some wording, because after parties it now reads IPLCs, women and youth, and I think they have a role to play, but probably after the bracketed reference to the global knowledge support services, and not as one of the main actors in this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, European Union. Argentina, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. We actually have a similar comment to the one of the EU, and we think we may need a qualifier, so probably after the coordination entity and the bracketed Global Knowledge Support Service for Biodiversity, we would say and as appropriate, and then go with the list: indigenous peoples and local communities, women and youth, relevant initiatives and organizations. I think it's pretty clear that the parties, of course, we have a main role to play, and then we have the support centers, and the other ones may come into play in some specific actions or moments, but not in the general sense as parties and the centers. Thank you.
Any objections to this? Please, by Argentina. Argentina, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have an objection on my proposal.
Thank you very much. Approved without any amendment. Sorry. Approved with that amendment, please. My concentration levels are coming down, sorry. We'll move on to 10B. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? Thank you. 10B is approved. (10C). Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. On C, we would like to delete the part that reads, such as scientific assessment needs and activities. And the reason for that is that we believe that this paragraph should be kept broad, and any kind of direction on priorities, as this seems to be doing, it should depend on what's identified by parties. Thank you.
No request for the floor. So we're moving with the Can you agree with the Brazil's amendment, please? Thank you. It's approved with the Brazil's amendment, please. (10D) starts with to enhance the organization. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? Thank you. (10D) approved, please. 10E to further improve the convention. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? Yes, there are no request for the floor. Thank you. 10E is approved, please. 10F starts with to further develop. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? Argentina, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to confirm that you have included the brackets agreed between us and the EU and others on the Global Knowledge Support Service for Biodiversity. Thank you.
We have bracketed, please. Central African Republic, you have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Chair. And the CI is a bit confused here because we're speaking about further developing the Bioland tool, knowing that this tool already exists. So it's hard to further develop something. Perhaps this is a translation issue, but we need to further develop the development of this tool.
It is to further improvement, please, further development, please. So therefore, there should not be any objection to that. But however, if you have any objection to that, I give the floor again back to you, please. Thank you. F approved with that brackets around this one. Global biodiversity, global knowledge support service for biodiversity. Thank you. 10F is approved with that brackets. Now we are moving on to B, knowledge management, recalling decisions 14/25. Can we all agree on this, please? Thank you. Approved. Next, recalling also target 21. Any objection? Can we agree, please? Thank you. Then, taking note of the program of work. Thank you. Now we have agreed on this paragraph. No request for the floor. Approved. Next one, emphasizing the critical importance. Can we all agree on this, please? Yes. Approved. Then next one, please, starting with stressing that capacities to generate. Can we, European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I will be very fast. We just want to say that before the developing countries in the second line, we would like to add, in particular, because we even have within the EU some parties that are economies in transition that also need, they might not have that much as well as some other countries. So just to add in particular before the developing countries. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Japan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Regarding this paragraph, Japan would like to propose to merge with the paragraph 3 below, since these sentences are quite similar. And I would suggest the deletion of the later part of this paragraph, starting from the developing countries required enhance international support through capacity building till the end, and instead add the sentence of paragraph 3, which is addressing inequalities between countries in the capacities to generate, collect, organize, and share biodiversity relevant data, including by enhancing blah, blah, blah till the end. Since because the important part is to address inequalities. Thank you.
Japan, we are finding it difficult to merge preambular with the operative part. However, we'll get back to you soon. Brazil, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with you that it would be difficult for us to merge the preambular with the operative part. We inserted it here because the preambular, it mirrors what we're trying to address also in the operative part of the text. And this is part of what we consider crucial for the approval of the knowledge management strategy, because it will create some difficulties, and it's important to address the capacities of developing countries in trying to achieve the new obligations and commitments that we see here. Thank you.
Saudi Arabia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I have a quick comment in this regard. In the Arabic part, the sentence starts by stressing the capacities to generate, and in Arabic, this word is not really indicative of the meaning. And here we can use the word extrapolation. So that's a reference to the statement in Arabic, and therefore the change is in the Arabic word of generate. Instead of tawlid, we say istiqra. Thank you.
Saudi Arabia, we will check with the translators and get back to you, please. Argentina, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Having heard to the colleagues in the room our suggestion, thank you, Chair. Having heard with the colleagues in the room, our suggestion at this stage could be that we can be flexible and insert here the suggestion by the EU of, in particular, before the developing countries. So the first part of this paragraph could read, stressing that the capacities to generate, collect, organize, and share biodiversity relevant data are uneven, and that in particular the developing countries, and then it will go. And I think that maybe we can adopt it with those changes. Thank you.
Cuba, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Cuba would like to support the statement of Brazil. I would like to confirm with the Secretariat that you understood the proposal that when we mention developing countries, we'd also use the specification of small island developing states, the least developed countries, and countries with economies in transition. Thank you.
Gabon, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Gabon would like to support the proposal made by Brazil, also supported by Argentina, and we agree with the addition as suggested by the European Union. Thank you.
European Union, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just see that we're talking here about capacity building. I think now the agreed language is capacity building and development. So we would like to ask the Secretariat to check the whole document to ensure that it's always capacity building and development. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, European Union. Now I am closing the discussion on this para. Secretariat, please spell out to make things clear.
Thank you. The paragraph reads, stressing that the capacities to generate, collect, organize, and share biodiversity data are uneven, and that in particular, developing countries I'll repeat, stressing that capacity to generate, collect, organize, and share biodiversity data are uneven, and that in particular, the developing countries and the standard phrase, and those least developed countries and small island developing states among them, require enhanced support through capacity building and development, technical and scientific cooperation, and access to and transfer of technology to strengthen national information and monitoring systems. Thank you.
With that, we are moving forward, please. This is approved with that changes. Next, European Union, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. We are of the opinion that this preambular paragraph looks a lot like the paragraph that we had in the preambular of this clearinghouse mechanism, so we propose to update this paragraph exactly as we have updated it with the legislation, national legislation, international obligation, regulations, and also the brackets around all those words. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any objections to the proposal made by EU, please? Thank Costa Rica, you have the floor.
Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Chair. Could the Secretariat then read out the paragraph as suggested by the delegation of the European Union?
Secretariat, you have the floor.
the paragraph that we had approved up, recognizing also that the clearinghouse mechanism should be compatible with this and supportive of relevant national legislation and international, in bracket, obligations, in bracket, regulations regarding data sharing and data sovereignty, in brackets. Thank you.
Costa Rica, you have the floor.
Gracias, señor.
Thank you, Chair. In this case, then, Costa Rica would prefer to leave the paragraph with stressing the capacity to generate, collect, organize, and so on, as it is within the knowledge management section.
European Union, you have any objection to that? You have the floor.
I think they read it out correctly, so that means that the latter part is as we have it with the changes proposed, so that should be okay. Thank you.
Thank you, European Union. Argentina, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My understanding is that the paragraph that Costa Rica referred to is already adopted as they also want it, so I think that no changes on that. And that the proposal by the EU, it's not an alternative to the one that Costa Rica wants to keep, that we support to keep as well. It's just to bring the edits from the previous part, so we don't waste more time trying to negotiate that text. We keep those edits and we move forward, and we would suggest to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Argentina. India, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We would like to add national policies and legislation, because policies or guidelines that can also be there in many countries. So it is missing here also, even in the previous preamble also. We wanted to add it should be compatible with relevant national policies, legislations, and international regulations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, India. Australia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I think I'm going to help. So can we please have confirmation from yourself, Chair, and the Secretariat that all instances of the phrase developing countries, LDCs, SIDS, and economies in transition will be reflected throughout the document, which we will check in the LDoc. Further to this, every aspect of data sovereignty will go into brackets with the changes from the first preambular paragraph. And as our colleagues from many countries have asked for, the Global Knowledge Support Service for Biodiversity will all be in brackets throughout the document. Thank you.
Thank you, Australia. And with that suggestion, we will move forward if there are no objections, please. Thank you very much, Australia. You have simplified it. Gabon, you have the floor.
Merci.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This paragraph, both in English and French is consistent. In English is consistent, but in the French version, we cannot understand and the support. This would need to be put in brackets because we don't understand it in the translation if we compare it with the English version.
Trinidad and Tobago, please. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just a little bit confused. Well, sorry. First off, I wanted to endorse Australia's suggestion for the continuous adjustment with respect to the phrasing. But with reference to Costa Rica's intervention, I'm a little confused in that the paragraph beginning with stressing the capacity to generate, collect, organize That seems to me a little bit more distinct from what the EU was suggesting in terms of standardizing the language, because it's stressing, this paragraph beginning with stressing seems to me to refer to the actual generation or the capacity to generate this information. And as such, I think it has less reference and dependence to national legislations and policies. Thank you. So I want to suggest that these texts remain the same, as is Costa Rica's.
Sorry, we have already cleared that paragraph, starting with words testing that capacities. We are into recognizing that knowledge management activities should be compatible. We are on that paragraph, please. If you have anything to say on this, you are welcome. Thank you. We are now moving. We are now moving on to the Gabon, please.
Merci.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We're concerned with regard to the proposal for this work. Wouldn't it be right for us to change strategy, for you to change strategy, to move faster? Because we only have 1 hour left, and we are very concerned.
I have no answer to the point raised by you. I am also equally concerned, but we have to follow certain procedures, so we are moving accordingly. We are giving opportunity and chance to the extent possible to all the parties who are demanding the floor. We will moving forward to para 1, please, next. Zimbabwe, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are now in paragraph 1, right?
Please.
Okay, so it's difficult for us to adopt this or to accept this paragraph because it's making reference to Annex 2, and we have issues that we would like to address in Annex 2.
This paragraph is already bracketed, please.
Okay, so what?
We will move on to para 2. Para 2 starts with recognizes that nothing. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? European Union, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. We think this paragraph could be moved as a preambular paragraph because it's written also like that, so it's not really a paragraph that should be here. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Further, we've got no comments.
Any objections to the suggestion made by European Union, please? On para 2. Thank you. Thank you. No objections, please. Okay. Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. In this paragraph that we suggested, we'd like to keep it where it is because I believe it's a very important part of the knowledge management strategy that we're adopting. So we'd like to keep it in operative part. Thank you so much.
EU, will you reconsider it? Yeah, please. First, in the spirit of camaraderie, we are getting very late, please. European Union, you have the floor, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. We're just a little bit flabbergasted that we've got operational paragraphs with text from preambular. So that is what we don't understand. But we've got, for the phrase, we've got no problem. So.
Thank you, European Union. We are approved para 2 and moving on to para 3, please. UK, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chair. Given that we have just agreed a preambular paragraph that stresses that the capacities to generate are uneven, it seems to us that for paragraph 3 we could probably save ourselves some words and have that paragraph simply read, urges parties to enhance capacity building, scientific and technical cooperation and access to and transfer of technology, which are critical to enable the implementation of the knowledge management strategy. And so we would see the first sentence of that paragraph removed. So where it goes from stresses to by, so it's actually the first 2 lines. And then we would have urges parties to enhance. And then the sentence would continue. And then in the last line where it says is critical, we would change that to which are critical.
Are there any objections to this suggestion made by UK, please? Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We'd like to thank the UK for this attempt of streamlining paragraph 3, but in our view, the term or the addressing inequalities is at the very heart of this paragraph. Therefore, I'd like to keep it as proposed. Thank you.
UK, could you please agree? Floor to UK, please.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to see that paragraph streamlined, so perhaps we do keep that in brackets and we come back to that later on.
I'm going to bracket the entire paragraph and move on to para 4, please. There are many parties seeking the floor. I can't give para 3 with brackets approved and moving on to para 4, please. Please cooperate. Can we all agree on paragraph 4, please? Yes? Thank you. Paragraph 4 approved. We are now moving on to para 5, invites parties. Can we all agree para 5, please? Colombia, you have the floor.
Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Colombia recognized that it's extremely important to include traditional knowledge of indigenous peoples, Afro-descendants, and local communities, and therefore we would be contributing to the consensus that we had around this in COP16. And in this document under consideration, and we will send to the Secretariat our request that it mentions the Afro-descendants, etc., in each of the relevant paragraphs. On this paragraph in particular, we support it, but we would like to see the inclusion of the following text at the end of the paragraph. With the effective participation of indigenous peoples, Afro-descendants, people of African descent, local communities, women and youth. Thank you.
We are including this in the brackets, please, as in the end. And then we'll move on to para 6, please. European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, in our intervention during the plenary, we mentioned that there is already in the knowledge management strategy, there is already mention of a lot of actors. So to avoid that we mention them all the time, we would like to say, instead of invites parties, other governments, and then the whole list, we want to replace that by actors mentioned in the knowledge management strategy. That way we avoid that we have to add everywhere IPLCs, women, youth, African descendants, and others, if that's okay for you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Argentina, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My intervention is on paragraph 6. Are we on paragraph 6?
We are still in para 5 because of the interventions, please.
Okay, so I'll come back when we go to para 6.
Yeah. So paragraph 5 is approved with the brackets at the end. And then we are moving on to here we are also including alternative formulation, but in brackets as proposed by EU, please. We are now on para 6, please. Canada, you have the floor. Please mention which paragraph you are speaking about.
Thank you, Chair. Just to confirm for paragraph 5 that the addition has been bracketed.
Yes, please. Additions have been bracketed.
Thank you.
India, you have the floor. Please mention the para.
Thank you, Chair. I am in para 6 only. For this, we have already in para 4 that we discussed previously in the preamble, that wherein we have to add developed country parties. So it will also go into brackets.
You are India, we are on para 6. What is that you are suggesting? Please repeat again.
Chair, actually, also invites wherein urges, develop the country parties, those, wordings which is already given previously, the same thing can be repeated. There it is bracketed, so here also it will go into bracket. That's what I wanted to say.
So we will add and bracket it. That is what you wanted. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Argentina, now para 6, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So on para 6, we actually made a proposal that remained bracketed for the similar paragraph that we have in the decision of capacity building, and we were a bit slow to bring the language that we had agreed in SBSTA for these kind of references. So, for example, in SBSTA 26 L10, which is the draft decision submitted to the COP on the monitoring framework, para 19, we have urges developed country parties and invites other parties in a position to do so. So we think that that language could be useful both in para 6 here, to change that beginning, we could say urges developed country parties and invites other parties, governments, etc. And we could use the same thing for para 4 that we had a bit bracketed there, but this is agreed language last week in SBSTA, so probably we have not changed our minds. Thank you.
Any objection to Argentina's suggestion, please? European Union, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And we'd like to thank our Argentina colleague for that reference to a SBSTA recommendation, but it hasn't been approved by COP yet, so we would like to, for the time being, bracket it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, European Union. With that brackets, we are moving forward. This para 6 is approved with those brackets, please. Thank you. We are on para 7, which starts with invites the global environment facility. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? Japan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Regarding para 7, to be consistent with related paragraph, we propose to add in accordance with its mandate after the global environment facility. And if not, we would like to have clarification of the reason. Thank you.
Any objection to the proposal made by Japan, please? Thank you. There are no objections. We are including it and approving this para 7 and moving forward to para 8, please. We are on para 8 now. Can we all agree to this paragraph, please? European Union, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you. It just reads at the end, youth and their initiatives, and we think there is probably not the right word. It should be other initiatives. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Canada, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick add. I believe the word women has been omitted in that list. After local community, it should read women and youth. Thank you, Chair.
Rachel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. This is just to confirm that the Global Knowledge Support Service for the Biodiversity is between brackets. Thank you.
Paragraph 8, with this suggestion bracketed global knowledge support, and then additions made by women and other. We are moving forward, please. Any objections to this? Thank you. There are no objections. Para 8 approved with those changes. We have moved to para 9, please. Para 9 has 9A, 9B, 9C, 9D, 9E, please. Request the Executive Secretary, subject to the availability of resources, A, to support the implementation of the knowledge management strategy. Can we agree with this paragraph, please? Thank you. Paragraph 9A approved. We are now on paragraph 9B. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? 9B. European Union, you have the floor.
Yeah, just a minor change, because it says here facilitating the holding of trainings. We think it should be facilitating the organization of training courses. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Can we move on with the suggestion made by European Union, please? Are there any objections? There are no objections. Para 9B approved, please. We are now on para 9C, please, to further develop. Argentina, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to confirm on B, just because you did not introduce it when requesting the approval of B, the Global Knowledge Support Service for Biodiversity is between brackets, right? Yes. Thank you.
Argentina, we are doing it everywhere. So with that brackets only, we'll. 9B is approved, please, because it's a standard. We are moving in that way. We are bracketing in that Global Knowledge Support Service.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So if in the following instances, when you introduce these paragraphs, you clarify that those have been bracketed so we don't have to intervene, that would be very welcome from our side. Thanks.
Thank you. I will seek the support of Secretariat. And 9C, please, to further develop. Thank you. There are no objections. We all agree on this paragraph 9C. We are now moved on to 9D, please. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? 9D. Thank you. No request for vote. 9D approved, please. We have now moved on to 9E, please, paragraph to submit a report. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? Thank you. No request for floor. Approved 9E. Friends, we have now moved on to Annex 1. I would like to know, because the time is a factor, major factor, so I would like to know how many, to have a sense of, an understanding that how many parties would like to intervene. Otherwise, if there are many or many differences, I would like to put the entire annex in brackets. So therefore, now I would like to open the floor to know the, either you may press the button or raise the hands if you want. I would like to know the three. Yeah, Argentina, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So you want us to intervene to present the comments that we may have regarding the annex?
I just want to get the sense of how many parties would like to intervene, because we wanted to move forward if there are any,
Thank you. We have some comments, but let us know when you want us to intervene.
So far, three parties: Argentina, European Union, Philippines wanted to, Colombia. Thank you. now. As you see, friends, it is a long annex, many tables, many pages. So if you, I would request you, if you can consider it as it is, I will be very thankful. But if you have wanted to make changes in text or anywhere, then it will take long time. There are three parties, now one or two may be added. So yeah. So therefore, I am bracketing it and their annex and moving forward, please. Friends, we moved on to Annex 2. Here, as you all know, working group on Article 8J has considered it, and a lengthy peer review by parties has taken place. In view of that, any party want to make textual changes, I would like to have a sense of it, and seeing that the parties after getting the sense of it, I would like to take appropriate decision, please. Now, floor is open on we have 8 parties on screen, and it's very difficult since there is no time. Then Annex 2 will be entirely bracketed, and we'll move forward, please. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation. We have now reached conclusion of our discussions on CRP4. CRP4 is approved as amended. We will produce L document for this item for consideration later. Thank you very much. Colombia, you have the floor since you raised the point of order. Colombia, you have the floor.
Gracias, señor.
Thank you, Chair. Colombia has been consistent in reiterating the need to have reflected in the text people of African descent in line with that expressed in comments and amendments to the text. So perhaps in Annex 2, even if it's in brackets, we would ask for people of African descent to be explicitly mentioned. Thank you, Chair.
Colombia, since the entire annex has been bracketed, this as an element of it difficult to introduce, add and bracket it. Anyhow, it will be considered and debated in COP16. Therefore, I am not in a position to introduce and bracket it since the entire Annex 2 has been bracketed, please. Thank you. I will now conclude this CRP. This CRP.4 is approved as amended. We will produce an L document for this item for consideration later, please. You know, CRP.5.
Item 6, CRP.5.
Yeah, agenda item 6 and 7. Yes. Distinguished delegates, let us now turn to agenda item 6 on communication, education and public awareness. CRP.5 was prepared drawing on the interventions from 21 parties, 5 observers during our plenary session on 23 May 2024. We will review CRP.5 with a view to approving it. Let us begin our review of the draft recommendation contained in document CBD/SBA/4/CRP.5. The preambular part, please. Draft recommendation submitted by the chair, subsidiary body and implementation. Takes note of CBD/SBA/4/9 prepared by the Secretary and recommends that the Conference of Parties at its 16th meeting adopt a decision along the following lines. The Conference of Parties, recalling its decision 15/14 of December 9, 2022. Can we agree on this paragraph, please? Thank you. Approved, please. Next one, the preambular text. Next one, recognize the importance of linking revisions. Approved. Argentina, you have the floor, please.
Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Chair. Argentina believes that the reference of, in particular, sections K and C to the end of the paragraph does not correspond because it includes objectives or targets which don't refer to education and communication towards individuals, but rather towards other actors. In addition, it leaves aside some aspects. Therefore, we would propose either deleting that, or if there's opposing views, then we would put it in brackets. Thank you.
European Union, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chair. As I speak for the first time this afternoon, I just make clear that I speak on behalf of the EU and its 27 member states. We'd like to as regards this proposal, we'd like to keep it in brackets, please. Thank you.
European Union, please clarify. You want to keep the entire paragraph in brackets, please? You have the floor. Or at the end?
Thank you, Chair. No, just the additional proposal that was made. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Secretariat to please clear it, spell out, please, so to have clarity.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and apologies to the parties. I just want to be clear, the proposal received from Argentina was to put in brackets, in particular, sections K and C, paragraph 7.0, or all the way to the end of that paragraph. Thank you very much for some clarity.
Thank you, Secretariat. So we are moving on to next one.
No, but Argentina, I need to
Argentina, you have the floor, please.
Yes, till the end of the paragraph. From, in particular, till the end of the paragraph. Thank you.
Yes, please. We are, with these brackets, we have approved this second para, and moving on to third one, starting with the words, noting that many activities. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? Chile, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry, but I would like to back to the first paragraph because I request for the floor before that you advance in the second paragraph. So we will also want to retain the which was requested for other party to delete in particular, but also we request in our statement regarding this matter to add the target 11 after target 10. So we will kindly ask to add that target, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chile. That is been added, but however it is in brackets. Thank you, Chile. We are on to third paragraph that is starts with noting that many activities. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I'm still on the suggestion of Chile. Adding target 11, we think that it's already some kind of cherry picking. So we'd like to see the proposal of adding target 11 in brackets. Thanks.
Yes, please, I mentioned it already. Thank you. We are on target, para starting with noting that many activities. No request for the floor. Thank you. This paragraph 3 is approved, please. We are on to next paragraph that is starts with words recalling its decision 15/11 of 19th December 2022. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? I see no request. Thank you. This paragraph is approved. Next, we have moved on to paragraph starting with the words noting the continued relevance of activities. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? Thank you. No request from the floor. This paragraph is approved. We are on to next paragraph 6, starting with the words recognizing that despite progress in communication. Argentina, you have the floor. Please mention the paragraph which you, the starting words and then proceed.
Gracias, señor.
Thank you, Chair. I will talk about the one that starts recognizing that despite progress. On that paragraph, there is a concept which doesn't feature in the CBD, which is transformative changes. I don't think that features anywhere. Taking into account the criteria which we agreed upon in other CPRs, I think we're in agreement to not add new language. Therefore, taking into account your opinion, I think it would be good to remove this. Thank you.
Japan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Regarding the paragraph starting recognizing that, we noticed it is more editorial thing, but regarding to the way to describe the Kunming-Montreal GBF, we found in this paragraph, it is referred to the framework. However, in paragraph 2, 7C, Annex 1 and Annex 1B, there are other way of describing the GBF, like a global biodiversity framework. And I hope the Secretariat will make relevant editorial changes to maintain the consistency. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Japan. Colombia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We would like to keep the term transformative changes in this paragraph, but if it's an issue for Argentina, then we would ask for it to be bracketed, but for it not to be removed completely. Thank you.
European Union, you have the European Union, you have the floor.
Thanks a lot, Chair. Concerning the Argentinian proposal, we'd like to echo the statement made by Colombia to keep the transformative change here, or to bracket it, but not to be removed. And we'd like to echo the Japanese statement on the consistency as well. Thanks.
Chile, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. we will also like to retain this concept in the paragraph. Thank you.
Mexico, you have the floor.
Gracias, señor.
Thank you, Chair. We echo that said by Chile, Colombia and the European Union, and would note that the decision 15.4 on the Global Biodiversity Framework in paragraph 2 talks about transformative change. Therefore, it is already featuring in a decision of the COP. Therefore, we ask for it to be maintained or retained. Thank you.
Please, we are approved or adopted with the brackets, please. No need for the parties to repeat the same. So we will be retaining it and bracketing it. So therefore, no more, I don't.
Argentina is coming up.
Argentina, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Just a procedural question. If later on we agree that this concept doesn't feature in the Convention on Biological Diversity, if we agree to put it in brackets, since this concept is repeated at various points throughout the text, could we agree then that every time it features that we put in brackets? If not, we'll have to repeat it every time, just to save time. Thank you.
Yes, please, agreed. Now with those changes, amendments, this paragraph starting with the words recognizing that has been approved. Next paragraph starting with the words recognizing also the developing countries. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? India, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We would like to add in the last line, adequate resources is necessary in accordance with Article 20 of the Convention. We would like to add. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, India. European Union, you have the floor.
Thanks a lot, Chair. We'd like to delete in the second part the provision of, and then instead of saying adequate resource, we'd like to add resourcing is necessary. So it reads, and that adequate resourcing is necessary. Thank you.
Can we, is there any objection to that suggestion, please, by European Union? Brazil, you have the floor. Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We'd like to support the suggestion made by India and keep the one made by the EU between brackets. Thank you.
We will now move on with that suggestions, keeping in the brackets, please. European Union, you have the floor. I would like to, please take the floor. Yeah, first.
Thank you, Chair, and sorry for coming in again on this. Since the proposal, our proposal is then made in brackets, we'd like to see the Indian proposal bracketed too, so that we need to discuss this together. Thanks.
To make things clear to all the parties, I request Secretariat to spell out the paragraph with changes in brackets.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the parties. So the paragraph now, to let you know the formulation, it starts again with recognizing also, so on, and that is fine up until public awareness and that. One option is public awareness and that the provision of adequate resources is necessary in accordance with Article 20 of the Convention, and both the provision of adequate resources and in accordance with Article 20 of the Convention are in brackets. The other option is to say public awareness and that adequate resourcing is necessary, with in accordance with, and with adequate resourcing also in brackets. So there's the option of the provision of adequate resources, adequate resourcing, and in accordance with Article 20, the convention of the bracketed elements. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, with those brackets, and we are approving this paragraph, and we are moving to next one, please. Para 1, please, now. Starts with encourages the executive secretary. Can we all agree on this paragraph, please? No request for the floor. This paragraph 1 is approved, please. Paragraph 2 starts with welcomes the suggested. Can we, Argentino, you have the floor. Please mention the para.
Sí, voy a comentar sobre el...
Thank you. I'm going to speak about the paragraph welcomes the suggested actions. We would like to have the word welcomes in brackets because there are a few targets that we're not convinced about, and until we have the opportunity to analyze this, we'd like to have this paragraph within brackets. Thank you.
European Union, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chair. We believe that every action is important, not only the ones that are suggested now, but as well the ones that have been suggested or agreed to previously, etc. So we believe that it's important to, instead of saying suggested, we'd like to see additional actions and propose this. Thank you.
Any objections to the proposal made by EU, please? Thank you. Now I request the floor to spell out the para with changes and brackets.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So with what we have here, we have the recommendation, first of all, that the entire paragraph should be bracketed. But the other suggestion is to change the text from, the text would now read, welcomes the additional actions to align the program of work on communication, education, and public awareness with the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework as set out in the annex to the present decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretariat, for making things clear. Now, this paragraph 2 is approved with those changes spelled out by Secretariat. Now we are moving on to para 3. Starts with the words request parties. Can we all agree on this paragraph 3, please? Mexico, you have the floor.
Gracias, señor presidente. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mexico would like to change in this paragraph number 3, which begins with request parties to develop, to change request to invites. This is something that we had requested in our statement during the first reading. We believe it would be better to invite parties, considering the amount of work that they will need to do in order to align the program of work with the national strategies and with the framework itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mexico. India, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. In the para 3, starting with the request parties, in the third line, relevant national circumstances, capabilities, and priorities. Capabilities and priorities to be inserted. This is, it's a normal texting even in the decision. So everywhere, if in the relevant context, we can add this. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, India. European Union, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chair. we'd like to first retain the requests or put it in brackets, the invites. We'd like to see to delete in the second sentence, second line, the legislative framework. And in the third line, of each country, since we believe that the meaning is already captured by the addition of as appropriate and relevant national circumstances. We also propose to change the language on cultural differences into cultural context, as this is already the language used in section K 2020D. Thanks.
Thank you. European Union. Colombia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In order to maybe find a middle ground between Mexico's proposal and the EU's, we would propose to use the word encourages parties, given that this global communications plan is important and we should take it up in a more strong manner. We are okay with the EU's proposal to maybe put legislative framework in brackets as well as each country. We do agree that speaking about relevant national circumstances takes care of this meaning. And we would like to cultural differences because they are, it is a different meaning from context. They are two different things. So we could say cultural differences and contexts and other relevant national circumstances, and we would be okay with that. Thank you.
Argentina, you have the floor, please.
Gracias, señor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Argentina would like to support what was said by the European Union and Mexico, and to retain relevant national circumstances.
Mexico, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We could accept the proposals of amendment made by Colombia, and we thank them for their efforts to reconcile the text. Thank you.
Burkina Faso, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We support the proposal made by Colombia, given the importance of this plan of action to achieve the results of the framework, and we also would like to support the word encourages parties to develop and implement actions at national level. We also are in an agreement with the suggestion of each country, relevant national circumstances of each country. We could take out the words of each country.
Canada, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this might just be our confusion, but on the end of the third last line, beginning of the second last line, it says including the global plan of action on education. It's our understanding that that global plan isn't developed yet. And so we think, just to avoid confusion, that we can delete the including the global plan of action on education. Not that we might, will likely be supportive of it later, but it's not there yet. It's not ready and probably won't be ready until COP17. Thanks.
European Union, you have the floor.
Thanks a lot. We'd like to echo the Colombian proposal to have encourage at the beginning, and to have the proposal on having cultural differences and context. We'd like to see the differences still bracketed. Thank you.
Thank you. This paragraph has taken a lot of time. Anyhow, I will request the Secretariat to spell out so that things are very clear to all of you, and thereafter let us close this discussion on this paragraph and move on. Secretariat, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So let's see what we have captured here. So the paragraph now has three options to begin. The original word requests is in brackets, but we also have the proposal of invites and encourages. These are all in brackets. Then the sentence continues fine. Paragraphs to develop and implement actions at the national level as appropriate. Take into account now the legislative framework was wanted to be striked, but there's other support, so that's in brackets. Cultural is fine. Context is in brackets. We have differences in brackets. We also have a proposal for capabilities and priorities, but that was not objected, so that's fine. Of each country is in brackets. We have got a request to strike the phrase including the global plan of action on education and to strike as appropriate. So the paragraph would read, invites, requests, or encourages parties to develop and implement actions at the national level as appropriate, taking into account brackets, the legislative framework, cultural differences and context, with both differences and context in brackets, and other relevant circumstances, capabilities and priorities, which is not in brackets, of each country, which is in brackets, that align the program of work on communication, education, and public awareness with the framework as set out in the annex to the present decision, and to include information in this regard in their national reports. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
I'm seeing many parties seeking the floor. Can't we close the issue on this paragraph? It has taken too much time and all have been mostly captured. If it is anything missing, it is not a very substantive one. So kindly cooperate with me, and if you insist, I will give the floor, and let us have a combined suffering also. There is nothing wrong in that. Mexico, you want the floor? Mexico, you have the floor.
Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much. We would like to withdraw a proposal for invites, since the proposal of encourages made by Colombia is sufficient for us. Thank you.
European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Just on the Canadian proposal, we'd like to keep it in brackets, please. So to retain, including the global plan of actions, and if not, to bracket it. Thanks.
Yeah. With these changes and brackets, we have approved the para 3 and moving on to para 4, please. Here in para 4, please. European Union, you have the floor.
Thanks a lot, Chair. We have welcomed the initial proposal to invite UNESCO and IUCN to develop a global plan of action, and we'd like to encourage its cooperation, and therefore we'd like to delete contribute to in the second line. Contribute to the delete, so, and then develop, have it, and deletement of. So it would read, invites the UNESCO and the IUCN to develop a global plan of action, and then it, and then in the fourth line we'd like to delete, including goals, activities, timelines, indicative resource requirements, and possible partners. Thank you.
Argentina, you have the floor.
Gracias, señor presidente. La Argentina no comparte la inclusión de organismos de membresía parcial, por lo que pedimos eliminar la parte que dice "and the International Union for Conservation of Nature". Si eso no es posible, le vamos a pedir, por favor, que lo ponga entre corchetes. Gracias.
Thank you, Argentina. Distinguished delegates, we have lost the interpretation. Therefore, I have no other alternative except to conclude and adjourn the House. And tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we will reassemble. And I hereby adjourn the House. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation. Please try to the best of your ability, capability, and cooperative attitude to push the things. And I am thankful for all the cooperation you have extended today. We have performed better than the yesterday. Therefore, tomorrow it will be better than today. So I expect such cooperation, such enthusiasm from you. Thank you very much. I hereby adjourn the House. Thank you.